July 17th, 12 to 5. Y'all need to come out. And like I said, they got bounce houses. And I don't understand why bounce houses are just for kids. Like, I feel like we should have adult bounce houses because, like, they are never not fun. When have you ever not had fun in a bounce house? But then again, adults, we be weird. So, I don't know. But either way, I don't know. We should start that idea where maybe somebody can invest in, like, a big bounce house for adults because Lord knows we all need to get away right now. We have a lot going on in the country, a lot that happened over the weekend. We have the shooting in Chicago by Robert E. Crimo, I don't know, when you shoot people, I don't have time to enunciate your name. But it's just astounding to me that this continues to keep happening, that we continue to have these mass shootings. And then on top of that, like, it's layers to this. I am annoyed at the mass shootings. And then I'm slick annoyed with Chicago. Like, Chicago is one of my favorite cities in the world. Chicago and Philadelphia, I think, are the two cities that we don't talk about enough when it comes to the culture. But what is happening? Like, Chicago, and I'm from Baltimore, so I can't say anything because we have a high homicide rate as well. But I don't understand how this is a problem that is still not being fixed. The mass shootings, they're still not being fixed, along with the Chicago shootings. So that's what I mean when I say we have layers to this whole thing and to the frustration of it. And then the fact that the mass shooters keep being almost the same type of profile. So it's kind of annoying because there's just so much going on. Like, I don't know, maybe just because it's never been in my mindset to get so mad that I got to take people out, but I just never have understood the mass shooting concept, and I don't understand why it's still a conversation in this country. I don't understand why we still have conversations in this country that are 50 years old and 60 years old and 70 years old. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? So, I'm praying for the families of that Chicago shooting. That was tragic and unfortunate, and I don't know. And then on the other side of things, we have Jalen Walker in Akron, Ohio, who just got shot 60 times by the cops. And you already know the differences before I even tell you the differences of these stories. Like, that's the crazy thing about our country, is that I don't even got to tell you who's what and what's who and how it happened. Because y'all already know there's only one type of people who get shot 60 times by the police. That is a firing squad. So when I say I don't want to continue to have conversations that are 50 years old, 60 years old, 70 years old, that is exactly what I mean. 60 times is beyond excessive. And what's crazy is that he lost his life and his family's probably going to get a massive payout for this. And our country seems to ignore that part where we have to spend our tax money to help out the payouts for these wrongfully shot and wrongfully hurt people and wrongfully convicted people. This country literally spends 8 to 9 figures a year on wrongfully accused, convicted, and murdered people, and most of them are minorities. But we seem to ignore that, but that comes out of our tax money. So we have a problem. We got to work this out. If y'all want to talk to me about it, you know you can. You can reach me at 719-300-7936. I got y'all. But we got to work some things out here. So that is definitely a problem for me. I don't know. Do y'all remember the Chris Rock special when he talked about how all bullets should cost $5,000? Because that's how I'm feeling. I'm like, it's right. It's not even the people. It's just, let's just make every bullet $5,000. Now, I can't do the math like that. That's why I changed my major 4 times and I ended up in radio. But if somebody shot 60 bullets and they was $5,000 a piece, I feel like that would make somebody rethink their decisions. That's all I'm saying. So, I don't know. If you guys don't want to stop gun laws or do a gun reform, then can we at least, I don't know. No disrespect to the hunters, because I know there's people out there who shoot for fun, and one person shouldn't pay for everything, but we got to figure this out, y'all. We got to figure this out, y'all. $5,000 a bullet is not sounding too bad right now, because y'all just be shooting. Like, who got time and money just to be shooting? So, yeah, we need to charge about a bullet, and I say it should be a 100 to 200% increase on bullets. I 100% agree with Chris Rock, and this was something he said over 20 years ago. So back to the whole thing about us having the same conversations for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. How are we not tired? I am, and I haven't even been around for 40, 50, 60 years. But I ain't going to give y'all the rest of my age because that's my business. Also, let's talk about the city. So, like I mentioned, we do have the slipping and sliding through Sand Creek that's going on at the Wildflower Park. See, I enunciated that time. High five. It's 12 to 5 on July 17th. We have a lot happening. We have the food, we have the music, we have the games, we have the giveaways, so you definitely want to come out. It is going to be a blast. And you already know how much I love when we do things for the community. So make sure you come out and visit us on that date as well. I also have tickets here for the Picturesque show at the Black Sheep on July 13th, which is next Wednesday. And I have tickets here for Jaron Benton on Tuesday for July 12th. So give me a call. We could talk about how we can get those up. We got those tickets. They're right at the Black Sheep, which is right down the street from us. All love to the Black Sheep. I've caught great acts at the Black Sheep before they blew up. So I appreciate the Black Sheep. And if you're from Colorado Springs, you know how much of a staple the Black Sheep is, no matter what kind of music you love, even though they're kind of rockers, which is cool because rockers are kind of fun. They're fun. You can't. That's another culture origin. You know, we originated that. So shout out to the Fun Rockers. And you can always call me at 719-300-7936 for those tickets. And then a random business shout out. If you're in the Springs, I went to Club Tilt for the first time to eat lunch. And that food was amazing. So just out of love, I just wanted to say thank you, Club Tilt, because that's fire. I'd be nervous when people be making fried catfish and greens and sweet potatoes because, yeah. When you live in Colorado Springs, any type of soul food will make you happy, and when you make it with love, I appreciate that. So shout out to that. And also shout out to the Men of Influence. They're a team in this city of grown men who really just work hard to keep our community together, to mentor and inspire the Black youth out here, and I appreciate them. They have teen nights on Fridays, and on the 4th of July, they actually were out here doing what they do best, and that's being there for our community. And they were out there at the Springs Rescue Mission volunteering and helping out and providing food. So I definitely want to give a quick shout out to the Men of Influence because they encourage people, they inspire people, and Black men, y'all matter. And when y'all are out here being kings, it really leads the community. So shout out to the Men of Influence for everything that they do for our community. And these were also dudes who brought us who were one of the people to contribute to the Juneteenth festival that we had. And like I said, we, the whole Family Flavors family, we were out there. We had a blast. It was a blast. It was just a cookout of Colorado Springs. So thank you again for the Men of Influence for what you do for your community. Also, what we got coming up on this show today. So this month is Fibroid Awareness Month, and it is also Disability Awareness Month. So all the music that you're going to listen to today, if you are listening to my show, is by artists who have disabilities. I got Stevie Wonder, you know, because he's blind. I got some TLC, because left eye, so shout out to the sickle cell life. So I definitely have a lot coming up. We also have Dr. Lauren Penn in today. She's going to talk to us about this Fibroid Awareness Month. She's going to talk to us about Black women in health. She's going to talk to us about holistic health and her story. I am so excited to talk to her. She has a story, so y'all stay tuned because it's going to be a good conversation. Y'all know I always am going to be here. I'm going to talk to y'all because we family and we a team. So y'all stay focused. If y'all want to holler at me, you can holler at me at social media, Deni the Godmother, or Tiffany Deni for the Tiffany Deni Show, or you can just call the station. We at 719-300-7936. We about to go pay these bills, y'all. Take care of some business. I'll be back in a few minutes, and we're going to talk to Dr. Lauren Penn. And that's something that we will be talking about this month is mental health and mental awareness, especially in this culture, in this community, because it is a conversation that is finally getting brought on the table, and we need to go ahead and open that thing up, because, child, when it comes to this culture and community, I'm not saying we can use some therapy, but we can definitely use some therapy. I have Dr. Lauren Penn with us right now. I'm excited to talk to her. I'm excited to talk to her about holistic health, Fibroid Awareness Month. I'm excited to talk to her about her pageant and her new start on life. So we have a lot to talk about with this young lady. I am too excited. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, girl, I'm so excited to have you here. You don't got to thank me, girl. I'm excited that you came here. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
So I just met your husband in the lobby. He said that y'all just got married last year.
Yeah, we got married in October.
So is this your first marriage, or is this your restart marriage where you have like a brand new life, a brand new grasp on things? Did Stella get her groove back? What's going on, girl?
This is my second marriage. I was married at a very young age. I got married right out of high school. I was 18 years old. and then I went into the military, and then I wasn't married.
What branch were you in?
I was in the Army.
Go ahead, girl.
Army HUA, 5 years.
Yeah, so then if you were that young, then what made you pause for that long to reconnect to marriage again? Because I'm in the line right now, I don't believe in marriage, but I kind of believe in marriage.
I paused because I felt for myself, I needed to get some things in order for my life. So as I looked at many people who had been married, and I did a lot of interviewing people over the years, people get married for reasons. They get married because they're lonely. They get married because they want to have sex. They get married because it's the right thing to do in God's eyes. They get married because they can't do their financial bills by themselves. They get married because they need help raising their kids. And I thought, well, after you get through all of that, and the kids grow up, and you get financially settled, and you finish school and all of those things, you're left with this mate.
Right.
And
I have to agree to that. I see people, who go through that empty nest syndrome where they realize they just home with somebody that they don't even know. Yeah.
And a lot of times when you're younger, or at least when I was younger and I got married because I was in love, because my first husband was a hustler. He knew how to make really good money, and he was very smart, and all those things that seemed so viable at that age. But as I worked through the things that I felt like I needed to work on, I discovered that I wanted to marry somebody because I wanted to be in a relationship with that person.
So what made him different? What made him be the one to be like, you know what, let's go ahead and take a stab at it again. Let's do a new life now. And then also, with this being your second life, because we're going to talk about your pageant and your crown, girl, I want to know what also made you be like, let me share my life with somebody else. Because I'm 34. I can't be honest. I'd be like, I don't want nobody living with me.
The one thing that I really loved about my husband was we did become friends. He was easy to talk to. He was easy to argue with, which is very important, right? It's like sometimes you get into these relationships and you get in an argument, and all of a sudden, you're the problem instead of the problem being the problem, or because people used to always tell me how intelligent I was, but I didn't believe it because I come from my siblings are very smart. And so as
opposed to doctor.
The brain has two sides. You hear sometimes people say, I'm a left brain person, I'm a right brain person. But in my family, most of us have a balanced brain. So we do the artistic as well as the logical, which makes it very hard, being a woman. And I'm like, I took Calc 3, and some guy's like, oh, well, you're just too smart for me. And so I heard that a lot. And when I met my husband, he could carry on the conversation with me.
I can understand that.
He didn't need a dictionary. He didn't need a thesaurus. He knew how to carry on a really good conversation with me. And then it was just easy. The relationship became very easy. We could talk about a lot of things. We had a lot of things in common, even down to the first car I bought. The first car I bought was a Carmen Ghia. I bought it when I was in the military. And when he was in high school, he had a Carmen Ghia. And
girl, you blushing. I just want to let you know. You are blushing talking about this man. Go ahead, girl. Okay.
So some people are like, I'm so in love. And love is great. You fall in love and you fall out of love. Or you could love a person. And I tell my husband all the time, I was like, I'm really happy that I like you and that you're my friend. Because if you have a good foundation of liking a person who they generally are, then you can make it through those hard times. Those hard times aren't contingent upon what the problem is, as much as it is your relationship.
I can see that.
And so that's what's really wonderful. I'm sure people are like, well, that's because you're a newlywed. But I'm 50 years old, and I met my husband when I first moved here, so I met him in 2019.
Okay. Where did you move from, if you don't mind me asking?
I moved from Dallas, but I'm not from Dallas.
Where are you from, girl?
I'm from San Jose, California.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Kelly.
Yes,
My
Kelly.
engineer right now is a Californian girl,
Yes,
so that's
Kelly,
what's going on
Kelly.
right now. Is they're having a little bonding moment.
And so I had came to the end of myself. I was finished with school. I was finished being a parent. I mean, not finished being a parent,
But you were able to.
but an active parent.
There you go.
And I was living my best life. I was wearing my hair the way I wanted to, my big earrings, my big hair, and the dresses, and just really finding the divine me. And then, sure enough, 3 days later, I met this guy, and he was so helpful. He was so kind. Like, we have these big lists. You know, he has to have 7 figures. He has to be tall. He has to be black. He has to be this, or he has to be that. And kindness wasn't something that I would even consider to being on the list. But he was so, not nice,
But kind.
but kind. Because nice comes with conditions. Kindness doesn't.
You're right about it, though.
And I loved that he was like that. I was just so amazed. I thought he was married, and I was just like, when I meet my guy, he's going to have that quality, and that was really nice.
And then you mentioned him being black, and I met your husband, and he is a white man.
I
Now,
met
was
my-
this the first time you were in an interracial relationship, or is this like an
It's a-
energy that you carry?
It was a sparse.
Sparse. I like
it was
that.
sparse throughout my dating. You know, I wasn't like. But the funny thing is my son said, "You're gonna marry a white guy." Everybody kept telling me I was gonna marry a white guy. But if you look at my son, you would wonder how he came to that conclusion, because my son is chocolate as chocolate can get. And so I was like, no, I mean, look at yourself in the mirror. Look at your granddad. You know, look at your daddy. You know, I'm gonna marry this really beautiful black man. And so. We get programmed with that, right?
We do get programmed.
And so
we very much get programmed.
you have to. Love is abounding, and you have to deprogram yourself if you want what will come to you in life. And what will come to you in life, it could come in a nice big brown package. You have to deprogram yourself to figure out what that really looks like for you. For me, the things that were really important is that I could. Not that I argue all the time, but if I should get in an argument, we still had to be intact. That money wasn't going to be an issue. That I had a partner, I had a friend, and I had somebody that I can just really enjoy life with. He understood my inner child, and I really love that, because we get too grown.
Yeah.
We get too grown in life.
I can see that. And then I also want to talk to you about your practice. So you have the practice going on. So what's the name of that?
Pinpoint Chiropractic and Wellness.
And then what made you go more of the holistic route instead of the more traditional route with medicine and health?
I did traditional medicine for about 20 years.
Really?
I was a surgical technologist for 20 years.
Girl, stop.
I was.
Stop it.
I did a lot of orthopedics.
No wonder you were in Cal like that.
I did trauma. I did sports. I did total joints. Towards the end of my career, I was in surgery, and one of the surgeons that I was working with was saying that 85% of the total joints that we do are preventable. So I thought to myself, well, what could that look like? I worked labor and delivery. I seen the disparity of women of color come in and women not of color come in, and I've seen the difference in how they got treated. So I was having some troubles holding on to jobs, and when I turned 39, I was like, I can't keep on losing my jobs. So I need to be able to find something that I won't get fired from.
I felt that.
The door to chiropractic opened. I just was like, the guy was like, go down. My chiropractor was like, go down and apply. I was like, okay. Like, you would do that every day. But I did, and I did. I got in 3 weeks. They accepted all my credits and everything. The funny thing is when I applied to nursing school, because I did that 2.5 years before, the lady who interviewed me, she said, how come you didn't go to school to be a doctor? And I thought to myself, who wants to do that? It's like a dumb job.
Stop.
But that's how I felt, because I worked with doctors every day.
All the time, exactly.
And we're either performing surgery on people or we're either giving them pills. And I was like, I don't want to sign up for that. So when I learned about all the benefits that chiropractic can give people, I thought, that's really cool. I went to a chiropractor because I had my own problem. I had a hormonal imbalance, and I had a thyroid problem, and I also had an adrenal gland problem. And he was like, you are always in fight and flight. And I was, because I was a busy person. People thought I was bipolar, and I was like, I'm not that. I do know that I'm not that. I do have something, but I'm not that. So when I became a chiropractor, I wanted to make sure that I could help people find their voice in medicine.
And your practice involves like a few other people as well,
Yes.
who do different things. I saw you have like an esthetician on there. And
We did have an esthetician.
Okay.
I'm
Who
still
do you
looking
have
for
on?
one.
Shout out to estheticians, and we're
Shout out
gonna
to
talk after
estheticians.
the show on that. So what are we doing at your practice right now?
Currently, I have a massage therapist and I have a physical therapist that I partner with. Because even though chiropractors have a little bit training in physical therapy, when you have somebody like Dr. Seagraves who specializes in pelvic floor exercises and she specializes in recovering women after surgery, that's a specialty.
Yes.
I don't do that. I mean, I do know how to recover people after surgery. I've had that experience, and I do apply that knowledge in my practice. But you want to be able to give people options, and we don't have a lot of options out there because we're not being listened to. So my whole interest in being able to cultivate something that would bring options to people in different manners that would help their body without being medicated is my goal. It's always my goal to be integrated at that level with that capacity.
And then we gonna pay these bills soon. I got one more question though, and my question on this is that why chiropractic? And then chiropractic, I don't know, what do we call it? Practice? I don't know.
It's a practice.
But it's just like, it's something that doesn't get talked about a lot, but everybody who goes to the chiropractor swears by it. Like, I have many friends who, once started going to a chiropractor, they find ways to budget to continue to go to the chiropractor. So it's like, either you never went or like you just swear by it. So why is it so vital? And then how do you think it can kind of help us in the community and the culture if we just started to pay more attention to it?
So there are many modalities. I'm a chiropractor. It's the modality that I chose. I chose this modality because I knew that I could use it as a tool. I could teach people how to help their body. I could educate them about helping their body through chiropractic, but also through nutrition, through the experience that I had working in surgery and working in women's health. I could combine all of the things that I learned and put it in one place. And so why is it so important? Because chiropractic means healing by hand. And if you're a Jesus believer, you understood that Jesus healed people by hand. I'm not saying I'm Jesus, don't take that out of context.
It's a sensitive day and age.
But what it is, I want to preference that. But what I am saying is that when you hug your parent, your son, when you hug your son, and you just feel that closeness.
That's my right? Yeah, you're right, girl.
And you have this like release. It releases these endorphins and oxytocin, and it releases all these hormones. That's exactly what happens when you get a chiropractic adjustment. But that's what heals your body. So if you have some misalignments, you get adjusted, you get some muscle work, and you get some exercises that help put your body back in alignment, then your body starts to say thank you. It starts to say thank you by releasing those hormones. And sometimes you can go to the doctor for eons. I've had a lot of patients come in and say, my neck and back hurts, and I'm like, how many chiropractors have you been to? 2 or 3, and they just said my neck and back hurts. I was like, well, I'm pretty sure it's not your neck and back. And so when I say that, they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, you have arms, you have knees, you have
a body,
you have hips, you got wrists, you got elbows, and all of those things can contribute to back pain. And so I like the fact that having that experience working in surgery, I've obtained knowledge on how the body works, how bones work, how muscles work, and how they tie in. And so when a person comes to me, I'm looking to help them wholly, I'm not looking just to adjust their back or their neck. If you want to talk about nutrition, we're going to talk about that. If you're on medicine, we're going to try to figure out how to get you off or lessen that medicine. If you want to talk about, I'm not a psychologist and I'm not a therapist, but emotional pain shows up in your body. And so I will definitely tell people there is a such thing as emotional pain manifesting in your body, and I could fix that, but you have to fix the other part. Pain. Right. And sometimes people don't know. We get immune to life, and then we get numbed by it. And so we allow a lot of things to happen and come into our space and come into our body.
Thank you, girl. All right, y'all. We're going to go pay these bills. We're going to continue to talk to Dr. Penn right here. I'm excited. We're going to talk to her about this beautiful sash around her neck, about her 50th birthday where rebirth, not a little big rebirth. What am I doing? Let me not downgrade that. And then what she's here for, to talk to us about Fibroid Awareness Month and about Black women and how we get affected by the fibroids. Y'all know y'all can contact us at 719-300-7936. This is your girl Tiffany Deni on the Tiffany Deni Show. So the first thing we need to talk about is, what are they, why are they a problem, and why do they seem to affect Black women more than everybody else?
Well, a fibroid, I know, I did. I have notes. I took some notes because you can get nervous with these things.
I felt that.
Fibroids are non-cancerous growths in the uterus. They develop during childbearing years. They are estrogenic extra growth. So if you have an overproduction of estrogen, these fibroids become, these muscles develop in the uterus. They don't know why Black women get them more than anybody else. But 5 to 80% of women will get them in their lifetime, and the biggest demographic is African American women. So there are a lot of things that you could do, but I want to talk about some of the symptomology, because they don't, until you have symptomology, doctors don't really believe that you have anything. So,
and I'm not trying to interject, yeah, but do you believe that it's like that with all everything, women in that, or just certain demographics of women? Because it feels like sometimes it can be certain demographics of women.
All women, depending on what it is, but certainly women of color, because they're not just being heard. So sometimes when I'm talking to women of color, and I tell them, when you go to the doctor, be calm, say these things. Because we get emotional. We get emotional because we want to be heard.
Right.
But sometimes people can't hear the emotion.
Right.
And when they can't hear the emotion, they think you're irate.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay.
I feel like that's the story of a lot of our lives, yeah.
That is, right? So we need to have advocates. And so I'm always advocating for my patients by telling them, say these things. Like, don't ask doctors for permission. Like, can you please do this? If you know that it's something that you need. So when I was diagnosed, before I was diagnosed with fibroids, one morning I woke up, I was near my cycle, and I was having this burning pain inside out. And I was just like, it felt like an Indian burn on the inside of my body. And I was like, that is not regular. And so when I went, I was like, I need an ultrasound. Like, I'm not asking you for permission. I need an ultrasound. There's something happening over there. It's not regular, and that's what I need. And of course, you don't always get that right up front. But after doing labs and seeing that my labs were abnormal, then she was like, absolutely, we need to get you to an ultrasound. So some of the symptomology that one can have if they have fibroids is heavy menstrual cycles. And that's very important to understand, because as you approach 35, your hormones change. When you're 40, your hormones changed. And then as you approach the premenopausal state, then they change even more. And so you could think that you have a normal cycle because people tell you, well, with age, this happens and that happens. But that's not always true. You could have a normal cycle, period, but you could have heavy bleeding in that normal cycle. And so that's something to look out for. You could have a prolonged cycle. You could have started out like when you originally had your cycle, maybe it was 3 or 4 days, and now it's 5 days, or it's 3 or 4 days with 5 days of spotting. So you want to pay attention to that. Bloating and gas are not the same thing. Gas causes bloating, but I had 2 wardrobes. I had the when I didn't have a menstrual cycle wardrobe, and then I had when I'm on my menstrual cycle wardrobe. And I was like 4 sizes bigger. I went from sometimes wearing a size 14 to wear a size 20 or a size 22. It was only around my cycle. And so you want to look out for, you do get inflamed when you're on your cycle, but you want to look for excess. That's really excessive. And people would always be like, I mean, what happened? Like, I was like, I don't know. I turned into a Zeppelin. Gas, excess gas. I'm not talking about you had dairy or lactose intolerant and you pooped for maybe an extra hour or two. We're talking about every time you eat, then you have gas, and then you always have gas. So you want to be cognizant of that. Weight gain. So women get fibroids in their childbearing years. After I had Malik,
that was my next question.
After I had Malik, who is my son, I gained 1.5 pounds a year, every year, and then it excelled to 2.5 pounds every year. And it didn't matter. I was a avid runner. I would run races, half marathons, 10Ks, 5Ks. I was running them as a big girl. I was like,
sturdy.
I don't know what's happening here. I was a weightlifter. I salsa danced. I mean, I was a very active person, but I could never lose weight. And people will tell you, well, try this diet, try the keto diet, be a vegan, and be all those kinds of things. And you try all the diets. It doesn't matter if you eat macaroni and cheese every day and fried chicken, or it doesn't matter if you eat string beans and carrots every day. Your body never seems to shed the weight. And so that's one thing to look out for. Difficulty losing weight and excess weight that just you keep on gaining weight. Difficulty being sexually intimate. It could hurt. Sometimes they'll say, oh, you have a tilted pelvis. It's like, okay, what made my pelvis tilt? Because it wasn't tilted before. Right. And so, I mean, these are good questions to ask because
you're right.
Before, you're like, I always say it's nothing until it's something, right? And when something happens, pathology happens. Sometimes it could be aging, weak muscles or something like that, but you could be like, it only hurts on one side, or like once he's in, it feels better, or, or however that looks like to you. But if you're having difficulty being sexually intimate, that is another thing. It's a collection of symptomology. You could have pelvic pain, you could have back pain, you could be asymmetrical, which sounds really weird. I lost my balance because the left side of my body was producing this big uterus, and the right side of my body was like, what are we doing? So over time, I lost my balance. I couldn't put my pants on without holding on to something, without falling. And so I thought that was really weird. I was like, how am I getting old like this? I was like so athletic. I was so be able to do that. I was able to do so many things that I was like, how come this is diminishing? And then I was peeing on myself. So I wore a pad every day because, I mean, I wasn't like taking a leak, but I was leaking. And I was like, they may say, well, that's because you had a baby. And I was like, I didn't have 100 kids. I only had one guy, So things may not add up. And if they don't add up to you on the inside, go with that feeling. Because sometimes people tell you you're wrong. I don't know. Don't believe that. Or that can't be possible, or you don't really know that. But go with your inward feeling, because every person knows unto themselves when there's something wrong. Whether they can verbalize it, whether they can put it into words, whether they could give it a diagnosis, or whether they can't. your body tells you, your brain tells you. So you want to definitely pay attention to that. Frequent urination, hypersensitivity. Like over time, people couldn't really touch my stomach. My husband was like, you know, trying to be all nice and rub my stomach. I was like, don't do that. Like, stop. You're hurting me. You know, I couldn't sleep with regular sheets. Really weird things. I couldn't wear elastic pants because my stomach had distended so far that when I wore elastic pants, the pressure from the elastic or a waistband, it was horrible. So I started, my whole style changed. Like, you see what I have on now?
I know, girl, work.
But what I was wearing for a long time were these tent dresses, you know, rocking these pockets because these knit dresses because I didn't want anything touching me. So you get hypersensitivity as the fibroids get bigger, you know. And so that's something also to pay attention to. I had really crazy food cravings. For 2 years, I craved pizza and burgers.
I mean, that's not weird. That sounds like something I would eat after I leave here. Yeah.
But every
I love
day,
a good burger.
But every day, my husband would be like, "What do you want to eat?" I was like, "A burger." And so we were vegan for a really long time, and then I was just like, "I need meat." He was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "A burger." He was like, "Okay, let's do the vegan burgers." A cow burger. I need a cow burger. But cravings mean something, right? I was craving pizza. I was like, oh, I want pizza. It could be all vegetables, but I want pizza. And in retrospect, I was like, okay. And then I was craving these Jordan almonds. Not Jordan almonds, but Junior Mints or New York peppermint patties. And I was just like, what is this? And it just came, it was weird, right? But the body craves the things that it needs. So Junior Mints have peppermint in them. And peppermint helps you not be nauseous.
It does.
And so I'm starting this whole, eating these Junior Mints, and I was just like, and then when I finally figured it out, I was like, I didn't know that I was nauseous, but my body knew that I needed that. I was craving B12, which is a cow burger. I was craving calcium because calcium is cheese. And I was craving sometimes sweets because I was so tired. By the time I figured out that I was anemic, my hemoglobin was 9 when it should be 13 to 16. And so I was coming home every day and I was sleeping. Like, before I was really energetic. I was like, let's go do this, let's go do that, let's go do that. You know, I was just like, they're like, you are everywhere. I was like, yes, I am. My name's Dr. Penn. And then after 2 years, I was just like, I just want to go home. I want to go to bed. I don't want to be talking to anybody. I want to be left alone. And then it got worse because I was coming home and going to sleep, but I was also sleeping. I was scheduling all my patient appointments far enough apart where I could take a nap in between them. And that's how bad it had gotten. And so when I finally figured that out, I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense. But with anemia, you have bad teeth. And so 2 years in a row to date, I had 2 root canals. I had a root canal last year, and this year I had a root canal. And I was like, how did this happen? Like, what was the dentist not doing to my teeth? The reason that I had this. But if you have anemia, your teeth are powered by blood nutrition. So when your blood can't do that for your teeth, then you'll have no teeth.
That's facts.
And so I was like, oh, wait a minute, no. Getting old with no teeth.
I'm glad you brought that up, though, because I want to ask one more question.
Yes.
What do you think, or what are known preventative measures to fibroids? Like, I was watching Good Hair the other day, the Chris Rock documentary. I don't know if y'all remember it, but then they had started to open up that bag where even like the relaxers can be a cause to the fibroids.
Oh, yeah.
And I always wondered, like when you mentioned black women, I was like, I wonder if that has anything to do with the conjunction. I mean, we don't use relaxers as much, but I think once we started finding out what was happening, so this whole no relaxer thing is like 10 to 15 years since the 70s. Like, but are there preventative measures that we can take?
I would say, so you can go get a normal pap smear. A pap smear won't tell you have fibroids.
What will?
You actually have to get imaging for that.
Okay.
And so for myself, because I knew this was not whatever was happening down in this left quadrant of my
I need to use that word.
stomach
like that.
or of my abdomen was not working. I was like, I know that I need an ultrasound. But an ultrasound is, you have to ask for it. So you have to speak up for yourself. When you say, I think I'm having this heavy bleeding, and they might want to run all these tests, they're going to run labs, but you want a visualization to make sure that there's nothing growing abnormally. So you could have endometriosis.
Which I have.
You could have fibroids. You can have both. Endometriosis is often done by a biopsy. Fibroids are found with imaging. And so they both cause heavy bleeding. They both cause uncomfortable menstrual cycles.
All right, girl. Now I'm gonna change the subject real quick because this sash is continuing to keep my attention. So I just have questions about it. What is the pageantry? What is the sash about? And please talk to me about the turn up you had on your 50th birthday. It sounded like you had a revelation, a revolution, and everything else.
When I turned 50, I said, so I'm a late bloomer in life.
I understand that.
I went to
completely.
chiropractic school when I was 40. I graduated when I was 45. I opened a practice when I was 46. I moved here when I was 47.
So you've been like in a whole new transition of life this last 10 years.
Yes, this last 10 years have been a new release on life. But I think it's because when you come to the end of yourself, you find yourself. When you stop listening to all the things that people tell you what's right for you instead of you understanding what's right for you. And so when I turned 50, I was like, I'm in a great spot. I have a practice. I get to help people. I've never done a beauty pageant. Why not? What else am I doing at 50 years old, right? Because after you've accomplished all the things that they tell you you would, you're young, you buy a house, you have some kids, you get married, you blah, 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 you do all those things. What else is there in life for you to do besides experience life?
All right.
And so I put on my vision board, which I don't always do, but I was like, I'm going to be in a beauty pageant. My husband was like, where'd that come from? I was like, I don't know. What else am I doing? And so this lady called me and she was like, we're looking for somebody to fill a queen space.
Okay.
Are you able to do that? And the pageantry was Legacy USA. And I was like, of course. And so I was 49, but you have to be 50 by the time the competition is. And so I was like, sure. I had no idea about pageantry at all because like yourself, I was a tomboy for real. Like I like science, I like dissecting, I like killing movies. Hey, we need to see some blood and some death. I was like, yes. I grew up like that. And so I thought this would be really nice to be able to show women that you could be anything at any time in your life. Your life doesn't stop because you're 30. Your life doesn't end because you're 40. You have many, many years to go. You could be an entrepreneur, which is my platform. I encourage women of color to be entrepreneurs because a lot of them, when I talk to them, are like, I hate my job. I was like, then there's a gift and talent that you have.
I will say, it seems like to rise up in that entrepreneurial field as black
absolutely
women. The increase has been crazy, where we're pretty much starting to lead this new business life right now.
That's right.
I think we're all getting a little fed up of being tired of our jobs.
Yeah. I mean, who wants to go to work and be be in a caustic place? When I went to work, people would talk about my hair. So I was a big...
I felt that in my spirit, actually. No, I get it completely.
I want to wear purple hair today. I want to wear gray hair today. I want to wear these locks today. I want to wear these Nubian knots today. And
to rise up in that entrepreneurial field as black women.
Absolutely.
The increase has been crazy, where we're pretty much starting to lead this new business life right now.
That's right.
I think we're all getting a little fed up of being tired of our jobs.
Yeah. I mean, who wants to go to work and be in a caustic place? When I went to work, people would talk about my hair. So I was a big...
I felt that in my spirit, actually. No, I get it completely.
I want to wear purple hair today. I want to wear gray hair today. I want to wear these locks today. I want to wear these Nubian knots today. And I was just being free and being myself. But sometimes your freedom enables other people because they don't have it. And so I was like, I can't be locked into a work situation where I can't be free. And so if you feel like that, there's a gift and talent or a skill you have that you can capitalize on. You can exploit it and you can become an entrepreneur. And so I didn't know that I had to pick a platform. And as I was listening to all the other platforms, I was like, entrepreneurship, hands down. Because small businesses keep America running.
And that's the truth.
Not big businesses.
It's a complex conversation that we're going to have.
And so I wanted to be a representation of that. I wanted to be able to have a platform, which I didn't know anything about. Your life works better if you're an entrepreneur if you have a platform, not just a DR in front of your name or accolades after your name. If you have something to preach your message or teach your message or reach your message to people who want to hear it, like these fibroids. I had a young lady, I did a live last night, and she said, I was afraid of having kids because I have fibroids. And I was like, no, we can't do that. Right? We have to educate ourselves.
And that's a big thing.
Ask your doctors, and stay up on it. Like, hey, I need this. I need to see what's going on here. I need to know why I'm having heavy periods. I need to know why I'm having extended periods. I need to know why I'm having this low back pain. Chiropractic saved me. I have a chiropractor that I went to. I was like, my low back is hurting. Don't adjust anything else. She adjusted that, and she was like, your pelvis is off. She lined my pelvis up, and I was like, that was way before I even knew I had fibroids. I saw a massage therapist twice a week because my self-care is very important to me. And we have to make that the priority.
Yeah, girl, I'm going to have to bring you back for that whole conversation because that's a show in itself. I got one more question because, I'm not going to keep you here that long. I am 34 years old. You just celebrated your 50th birthday.
I did.
If you could go back to your 34-year-old self, what's the biggest piece of advice you would give?
Whew. Sister, that is so loaded. When I was,
what's the basic, I should say, piece of advice that you would give to yourself that you feel like may have been like, if I would have known that then?
When I was 28 years old, I started a soap company.
Okay.
My own brand, my own label. When I was 34, I lost my job. I lost the 2 condos that I had, and I went back to school. But I would tell my 34-year self to be consistent. Because I didn't see the accumulation of what I was doing, I quit before it got wings.
Thank you for that. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you so much. Is there any way that the people can find you on social media, anything like that? The practice? How can we get in touch about this pageant? What can we do to reach out to you if we need to?
You can find me on social media, Facebook. I am Pinpoint Chiropractic and Wellness. I also have a Dr. Penn's Plus where we could just talk about whatever we want to talk about. I'm on Instagram, Pinpoint Chiropractic, as Pinpoint Chiro. You can find me on Spotify under A Wealth of Life. We have a podcast where we talk about good living, and you can reach me in the city. I am located at 2130 Academy Circle, Suite D.
All right, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you so much for showing up, and I appreciate this talk, and I can't wait to have you back because we have so much more to talk about. We literally just scratched the surface. We got to pay these bills, so we're going to go ahead and take care of these bills. Y'all going to listen to some great music. All my music today is by artists with disability. We just heard from Prince, who had childhood epilepsy, and TLC with her, T-Boss with her sickle cell anemia. We're going to keep it going because the great music comes from the greats. So thank you again, Dr. Penn, for showing. And we are going to go ahead and come back in about 5 to 10 minutes once we make sure everybody's taken care of. I'll talk to y'all later. Remember, it's the Tiffany Deni Show on the Family Flavors The Slide. And you can reach me at 719-300-7936. A great show. We just had Dr. Lauren Penn in here, and it is Disability Month and Fibroid Awareness Month, so I had to make sure that was the first thing we tackled this month because fibroids is something that affects us as Black women in particular at an astronomically large rate, and we need to know about that. So I really appreciate Dr. Lauren Penn for coming in today, talking to me a little bit about the fibroid awareness, because that's a big thing, and it's another thing that goes on with the Black community, one of them silent type of things where we don't acknowledge it until it's too late. And, in a system where Black women are statistically taken less serious than anybody else when it comes to this health field. It's important that we know the things that, or know what to look for in our bodies and in ourselves to get checked out, because we don't want it to be too late. So thank you, Dr. Lauren Penn, for coming in and just giving us that conversation about health and wellness and her story, which was absolutely fun, amazing, and inspiring. And just talking about the fibroids, you know we're going to have her back because we just touched the surface, y'all. Like, she genuinely just touched the surface on this holistic health thing. And this month is all about health and wellness. So we will be talking about health and wellness like crazy this month, especially in the community and in the culture, because these are things that need to be discussed, and these are things that we actually finally have a platform to discuss, especially when it comes to this mental health thing. Mental health is something in our community that we just don't talk about, and we really, really need to. And the way that generational curses hit a lot of the minority in particular is a reason why we need to acknowledge mental health. So please understand that that will be a topic we will be addressing shortly, especially in this month, because I really am a huge advocate for self-health and mental health and self-awareness. And I am excited that we are finally in a day, era, and time in which we can talk about mental health, because Lord knows my parents' generation, a therapist, what was that? Like, that was rich people stuff. So to be in an era now where we're actually trying to find the root of our problems, we need to take advantage of that. Like, God is good and praying is good, but so is talking to somebody. So we will be discussing a lot of health stuff this month because that's what's going on. And like I said, it's Disability Awareness Month, so I've been playing all the music that has been from people with disabilities. We had just got done listening to Mobb Deep. You know, Prodigy has sickle cell anemia along with T-Boz. And then I actually kind of threw in Rap God for fun because Eminem got diagnosed with so much stuff that was kind of fabricated. If you're an Eminem fan, you kind of know he had a complex relationship with his mom. That's the safe way we'll say it. So, you know, Munchausen syndrome, and then he actually, I don't know, he was diagnosed as a child with Asperger's, and whether that was real or not, I don't know. Either way, I don't know. I respect him. That's the end of that conversation. So we're going to talk about disabilities and disorders this month as well. This is really going to be a huge month for health in our community and in our culture, because we got to talk about it. We got to talk about it, and we got to talk about what we can do to prevent certain health issues that seem to be running in our culture, whether it's high blood pressure, diabetes, things of that nature. We got to talk about ways that we can prevent this mental health thing that's going on. And I know a lot of us don't think we talk about it, but the Black community spends a lot of money on alcohol and substances that just doesn't make sense in conjunction to the overall wealth of our race and our culture. So we're going to talk about mental health as well, and we also got to tackle that physical health thing, because we have to start taking care of ourselves. That's just the bottom line. Like, we have to start taking care of ourselves. It's not even something that's hard to do as much anymore. It's easy to buy spinach now. It's easy to buy frozen broccoli now. Like, physically, we have to start taking care of ourselves. We can't keep going in the same traditions. We have more options. And we can't keep having these same health problems. We have more options not to. So this month, and for the remainder of the show, we will be tackling a lot of health things and a lot of things that we as a culture and a community can do and will do to keep this culture and community strong and alive. Also, I do need you guys to remember what we got going on here at Family Flavors. We got the Slipping and Sliding going on July 17th. 12 to 5, and here y'all know I'm about to stutter. I'm gonna try it though. At the Wildfire, nope, I tried. I'm gonna get it, y'all. I swear, it's so many, the word is hard. Like, F and L shouldn't go together. That's just the bottom line, okay? I don't know any word of F and L that we need together. So, besides flower, but Wildflower Park. Yeah, next year we're going to do it at, I don't know, something else, maybe Memorial Centennial. We're going to have to work this out. See how easy those are? They just slide off the tongue.
We were thinking the new Panorama Park.
That works too. I can pronounce that. Yeah, I'm trying, y'all. I swear I'm very literate. I actually read in my free time. It is just something about the word wildflower. Jesus. I'm getting frustrated. I'm getting mad frustrated. My engineer is laughing at me, so that's also what's not helping right now. It's because she has watched me this whole show struggle with the word wildflower, and I want to say it in daily conversation instead of having to slow down and enunciate. So my goal before this show, or before the 15th, is to be able to say wildflower. Hey,